Okay, this is Durward King with Sampson Community College, and this class is ELC 111, Intro to Electricity. This is October 29, 2020, and this is going to be basically a catch-up day for us. A lot of people need to get caught up on worksheets, and I'm going to be helping different ones on worksheets that may be here, or that may be joining through Zoom wherever they happen to be at. So it's going to be a mixture of that. And if anyone comes in to catch up on labs, then I'll roll my Zoom card out there, and you'll see that. So it'll be a variety of things. And so we're starting out with a question in Chapter 4. So if any of you out there listening are having trouble with 4, because everybody's not done with 4, I sent messages out a while ago. So the folks that are not done with Chapter 4 worksheet parallel would be Victor, McGill, Benjamin, and Louise is in here. So if any of you are listening, this may be one that you had trouble with, so it's going to help you as we go through it. So what question is it that we're looking at?
Question 9.
So question 9 on worksheet 4.1. Okay, so let's go to that one. Okay, worksheet 4.1 and number 9. And I've got these things laid out. Let me see. I changed the format. Let me get my actual Moodle print out. Number 9. Well, when you go over to Moodle, changing things, it's sometimes it ends up being slightly different numbers from. Okay, so the question is this: there are 4 resistors in parallel, and the resistance values are 4 ohms, 8 ohms, 12 ohms, and 16 ohms. Calculate the total circuit resistance.
I used the reciprocal formula.
Yep.
To come up with my answer, but I don't know if I did it right.
So what did you come up with for an answer?
1.92 ohms.
That sounds right. Get my number here. Let's see. You got 1.91.
1.92.
Yeah, that's correct. That is right.
Really?
It is right. When you put resistors in parallel and they're different values, the total is going to be less than the smallest one.
Okay, now going on to question 10.
Okay.
The resistors mentioned in problem 2 are connected in parallel across 120 volt DC supply.
That's the air compressor. Let's cut that off. No, we're not taking off. Don't freak out in Zoom. We're not taking off. We're not in a spaceship, okay? That's our air compressor up in the mezzanine. And by the way, if you're ever in here and it comes on and nobody's using the air, you just go right behind that switch out there. There's a disconnect on the wall, and that'll shut it off. We use air for pneumatics and for blowing things off and all, compressed air. Okay, so now we're looking at number 10, and it says that the resistors that we just talked about in problem 2 was actually problem 9.
Yeah, that was throwing me off. I was like,
The problem too was to where in the original paper worksheet,
okay,
and I didn't fix that.
all right.
I need to go in and edit that, but I can't edit it now with you actually in there doing it. So it's actually in problem.
No. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm trying to remember how in the world is it that I. What it is, I added some questions to it from the paper copy that I've been giving out each year. And that's what throws the numbers off. But I've got them numbered correctly in here on paper according to Moodle. So I know what I did now. I added some questions. Yep.
Give me a minute because I got to draw it out so I can see it.
Right, that's exactly right. You need to draw that so you can see it. You see what I did? That's the way I do them. I draw them out. That's the only way I can make sense out of it.
Yeah.
120 volt power supply, and you got the 4 resistors, and then you go at it. Then it's going to make a lot more sense. So just whoever, those of you that may be watching, if you go look, that's just an example of, you draw the circuit out, and it's going to be easier to figure out. If you're just going straight off of your head and a word problem, it's just hard to visualize. So everything I do like that, I draw things out. You can see up in here, I draw circuits out. Same thing on this next page. Everything that I'm working on, I'll draw it. Wherever you're not given a drawing, if it's just a word problem, go ahead and draw that out. And it's going to be much easier to figure out. Whoever's listening, give me a call, and you can call whenever you are free. I mean, I can help you at night. I had somebody call me last night around 11 o'clock. About 11 p.m. they called, and I stopped right there in my truck. I was actually pulling into my, I was in my carport getting ready to go in the house. Somebody called and needed help, and I helped them for a while, So, I'm pretty flexible on that. I did plant maintenance for 22 years, and I work crazy hours, so I can still work crazy hours, and I'm kind of used to it. That's how my hair got so curly and partly gray. All these crazy hours, It'll make your hair go curly. It'll make it go gray. Yep. So it's all in making a living and enjoying what you do, and I do like it. So I got into the teaching when the plant shut down, so that's kind of how I ended up out here. So worked out good. Bad thing to shut down, but good thing that they needed to teach you now. So. Now I get to teach people and help them get jobs, and that's pretty rewarding seeing folks get jobs. And then I hear the bosses say, "Hey, I like what you're sending me. You got any more I can hire?" They tell me that at Schindler. Hogslat, same thing. Hogslat and Schindler, they're pleased with the people that we send for the most part. So that's a very good. It makes you feel good as an instructor to see that going on. Because our graduates go out, most of them go out and making our school look good. They give a good image, and that generates more new hire possibilities because they, guys go and they perform good for women, and that boss comes back later on. He says, "Hey, I need another one. You got somebody for me?" And I usually can match up somebody. Right now, there's a opening at Smithfield Packing, but it's going to need to be the type person that's already got the electrical classes out here in motor controls and PLCs. This person will need to be well versed on PLCs and motor controls plus mechanical work. You got to be a very strong overall multi-craft type technician to be able to fill that spot. It's a pretty demanding spot. And I don't know of anybody right off the bat that's really prepared for that. That's actually finished with everything. But usually I can help match somebody, but here in the middle where we are now in the fall, chances are better to help place somebody in the spring closer to graduation. So, yeah.
Did I do that right? Because basically I've got the levels on the O's, so it's I equals E over R, so I just split off all the way across and got my 30.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
It is.
Okay.
It is. That's
Oh,
the
sorry,
total current.
I didn't use the stabbing with my nail. Okay, now.
Hold on. Right, that's good.
I just added everything across the count was 62.5. And in the previous question I answered that was 60.
Right. And then your resistance, it's asking for that again when you've already had it in the previous question.
Okay.
That's it. Very good. Very good. When we get a lady in these classes, they normally really do it right. I mean, you got Louise in here, and you can see her over here going at it. Look at that. Got Louise and Nicholas in here. So, but all the other seats are empty. So my question out there is, where are you? All of you out there in YouTube land, where are you? If you're watching me, I guess you're watching a recording, and that's okay. That's fine. So, that's the beauty of being able to do this is you can go back and watch if you miss it. Victor McGill, I know you're under a lot of high demand where you're at Smithfield, and if something's tore up, something's down, you can't leave. I understand that. So that's what the recordings are for. And like Victor called me last night at 11 o'clock with some questions. So that's okay, Victor. All I want is a big fish plate for that 11 o'clock service call, okay? A big flounder plate, man. That's okay. Just kidding. Seriously, he called last night about 11 o'clock. He had some questions. I ain't kidding. I told him to do it too. I said, you call whenever.
Yeah, see, I wish I had thought about that because we normally go to lunch around the morning.
Right.
That's just too late.
It ain't. I have worked, let me just tell you where I come from. I worked in the plant to where I would normally be, I had seniority for first shift. I worked first shift normally. We'd have a guy on third that would point out, he would get 12 points and lose his job. And wham, bam, they'd say, well, you're going to be on third starting tomorrow night, or maybe tonight. I said, well, how long are we going to be on it? They say, well, we don't know until we hire somebody and you train them. And then you come back to first. And then you didn't know how long that was going to be. So I'd be on third doing that job. And I'd ask them every second week, have you hired anybody? And I check, we're still looking. So you got to go through the hiring process. And then I train them. And then if they stay, some people, when they get back there in the hot box where the powder coating room was, they wouldn't even stay. They said, I can't take this, and they quit before I could get them trained. So then I'd be, So hey, I've worked some crazy shifts, and it sort of became normal. And it's still normal to do things at odd times. You know what I mean? That's kind of my normal. I grade papers at odd times. I send you emails at odd times, if you noticed that. If you look at the times I send them, you say, what is that guy doing up this late? I'm up late because, I've had situations with my mother, with her health and all, and sometimes it's very late before I can even get started sometimes because of family stuff going on. So that's fine. My goal is this. I've got one goal, and that's that everybody finishes and finishes well. And I don't care what it takes to make it happen, what time you call, what day you call Sunday, it doesn't matter. If you call Sunday morning, I'm in church now, I'm gonna get up with you after. But I will help you on a Sunday. will get the mule out of the ditch, as they say. Bible even says that it's okay to get the mule out of the ditch, sort of, if you, in so many words. If you're in a bind, it's okay to do something on Sabbath if it's a legitimate crisis, you know. What do you do if you need to go to the emergency room on a Sunday? Do they say, well, look, sir, this is Sunday, we're not helping you, you know? No, they don't say that. The door's open, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the way I try to do with y'all, because I just know everybody's got a different situation, and I just know that. So I'm after maximum completion, highest success rate we can get out of this group, and whatever it takes, that's what I want to see happen. So you call. Yep. Chapter 8, okay? Chapter 8. Okay, let's go for it. Chapter 8. Okay, everybody out there in YouTube land, we're going to chapter 8. Chapter 8. 8 and 9 are really good. They're great, man. They're stuff that you need, so important. 9 on Tuesday, 9 is going to be a real eye opener for you. Yes, very good. Okay, go ahead. Which one?
Just like get all in general, CSA, and
Everything in general.
just not getting a good grasp.
Okay, so start. Where are you? Where do you want to start at?
Question 9.
Question 9. Question 9. The kind of insulation on a conductor partially determines the conductor's what? And you have the 5 choices of the current carrying capacity, or the CSA, which would be the cross-sectional area, or the gauge size or resistance, or the material like copper or aluminum. So let's take a look at the first one and see, is that the one? We'll just see, is it or is it not? So the question would be the kind of insulation, and the insulation is going to be the coating. So the coating here on that wire, there's like a thermoplastic type, some type of a jacket on there. And that's what we're talking about, the insulation that goes around the actual copper wire. The kind of insulation on the conductor partially determines the conductor's current carrying capacity. Okay, so and what that's going to reflect back to is, if I can find you go to the very last page on 70, and let me find the reference point to it. Now, I'm going to be in let me get my document camera here, and I'm going to point here for those of you watching. Okay, let's go. We are under temperature on page 70. It's page 7 in the book. Down in the 1, 2, the third paragraph. I'm just going to read the whole paragraph. The heat produced within a conductor radiates into space or is conducted away by materials in contact with the wire. If heat is produced faster than it can be dissipated, the conductor may melt. For very obvious safety reasons, the National Electric Code in Article 310.15 and 310.15b16 through 310.15b21 sets definite limits on the amount of current that a conductor is permitted to carry. And let's stop right there and let's get out the wire chart that I gave y'all the other day. And this is a good question here. Hey, Jamie, how you doing?
Hey, Mr. Durwood.
We are on worksheet 8, question number 9.
Okay.
I'm trying to go through and explain. We're trying to reason it out, okay? Nicholas,
Yes, sir.
Nicholas is asking about it. He's asking about trying to understand the question.
Okay.
Okay, so let me pin.
Is that the one in the book or in Moodle?
It's in Moodle.
Okay.
It's in Moodle.
So it's not number 9 in the book then.
I have to look to see, is it?
Yeah, it's the same question.
Same question. Same question, okay? It is. It's the same question. Jamie, it's the same one. Okay, so here do you see the paper, Jamie?
Yes, sir.
So it says that the kind of insulation on the conductor partially determines the conductor's what? Now let's take a look at page 70 in the book, and I'm going to read in the 3rd paragraph. So I just read that part. When it got down and it told you that for safety reasons, the National Electric Code Article 310.15 sets the amounts of current that a conductor is permitted to carry. Because both the type, listen right in here, this is the key right here, Nicholas. Because both the type and thickness of insulation are factored in retarding the dissipation of heat or slowing the dissipation down, they must be considered in selecting conductors. The National Electric Code specifies the current carrying capacities of various wire sizes with different types of insulation when a specific number of conductors are installed in a raceway or cable. Therefore, the current carrying capacity of each conductor depends on the number of wires present in a raceway or cable, and also on the type of insulation, as it just said. So let's go to the wire chart. So the wire chart that I gave y'all, which is right here, when you take a look at the section that says copper, okay, if you see right up in here, the copper section right here, those first 3 rows are showing copper wire rated at certain temperatures, and then under the temperature ratings there are letters that represent the insulation type of that's actually around the wire. Y'all see those letters? So letters like RHW or THHN and all of those letters, they represent the type of actual real insulation that's on the wire, the actual physical insulation, Jamie. The insulation, those letters will be stamped on the jacket of the wire. They'll be stamped on there. It's labeled what it is. And Jamie, where you're at, you're typically using the THHN, right?
Yes, sir, most of the time.
And that's actually in the 3rd column is a THHN. And the T means thermoplastic. And then the HH, the 2 H's mean that it's a 90° C rated wire, and the N means it has a nylon jacket on there. If this oil and gasoline resistant, it has like a clear coat of y'all seen clear coat on cars? Well, they'll have insulation. There's some of it out there on the car out there, this THHN. So where it's got the regular insulation, and it's got like a cellophane clear coat around it. And so, you know, all of these letters mean something. So when you look at the letters on there, Each one of them need a particular type of insulation. Now, let's just do one example that's going to clear this up. If you take a look at number 14 wire and you follow with a cross to the first column, the first column is a 60 degrees Celsius column, right? And it has insulation type that's a TW or a UF. You see that?
Mhm.
So what's the current capacity of a number 14 wire in that column? 15 amps. Okay, you see that, Renee?
Yeah.
Okay, Jamie, you see that?
Yes, sir.
So with that type of insulation, that number 14 wire can draw 15 amps, no more. If you go above that, you're going to overheat and melt the insulation. That same number 14 wire, the same amount of copper, if you follow it to the next column, and you have better insulation on there, RHW, a THHW, or THW, so on, any of those in there, then that insulation is good up to 75 degrees Celsius or 167 Fahrenheit. Then, so what is the amp limit now for that number 14 wire in that second column? 20 amps. And so what's the difference between the two columns? Is the copper wire any bigger? It ain't no bigger. It's the same exact amount of copper wire. That copper can actually handle it can handle more amps than that 15 in that first column. The limitation factor is the insulation itself. It's the heat capacity of the insulation is what it boils down to. So you pay a little more money and you get better insulation, you can actually pull 5 more amps through that wire, same size. Also, if you go to the third column, then you have those other type of insulations like Jamie's using on the farms. It's a THHN. And that's a 90 degrees C rated wire, 194 Fahrenheit. It's good up to that amount continuously. So what's the amp rating of that wire?
25.
You can pull 25 amps through that wire. But it's conditional. You can only do that if the terminals that you tie to on both ends of the wire, if the connections, if the lugs you tie to are rated for 90 degrees C or 194 Fahrenheit. That's the limitation. You have to have the circuit, the wire has to be rated for it, and then both ends of the wire that you connect to the screw terminals, they have to be rated for that same temperature. And then you can pull that 25 amps. If the screw connections on the ends, however you terminate the wires, if they're rated for less than 90 degrees C, then even though you're using a 90 degrees C wire, you've got to go back to the next column down. If your terminal connections are rated only for 75 degrees C, you've got to rate that wire in that column because of the weakness of the connecting points on the ends of the wire. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And what that boils down to is this, and I'm going to give you a copy here. I didn't have it the other day, but I've got it now. This is the part in the code book where what I'm saying comes from. And it's an article called 110.14 in the code book, in the National Electric Code book. And I need to put that in Moodle so you can download that, everybody. I've got the physical copies right here. So let me hand those out. If you just read what's in that paragraph right there, that's going to give you the gist of what I just said. Let me make myself a note here to put this in Moodle. Okay. So let me get right here from the camera here. And so this is the reference point right here, everybody. Is in the electric code book, it's article 110.14C. So the main heart of it is this. It says temperature limitations. The temperature rating associated with the ampacity of a conductor, that means the amp rating of the conductor, shall be selected and coordinated so as not to exceed the lowest temperature rating of any connected termination. conductor, or device. Conductors with temperature ratings higher than specified for terminations shall be permitted to be used for ampacity adjustment, correction, or both. The first thing you have to say is you cannot exceed the rating of any connection that you're connected to. Y'all catch that? For right now, that's all you want to read out of that. That's all you want to read out of it. So if it's a motor starter or whatever it is, or a switch or a receptacle, they all have ratings on them. They all have ratings. Every one of them are rated. You got to go whatever column here, whichever column that it falls under, that's where you have to rate the wire at, even though the wire may be rated higher. Okay, everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so with all that being said, let's go back to the question. So we do know that a number 14 wire can handle anywhere from 15 to 25 amps based on what? The determining factor would be what? The insulation. Yes, the insulation, exactly. So our question says, the kind of insulation on a conductor partially determines the conductor's what? Current carrying capacity, yes. Exactly. So, like I've been saying, this chapter is very deep. It's only a few pages, but it is so deep that we have to talk about this stuff, because this stuff doesn't jump out at you. This is not something you can just put in somebody's lap and say, just do it. You know, and I'll talk to you later. No, this involves, it has to be taught. This stuff has to be talked about. We have to discuss it. And it just takes a lot of, you got to really think about it, slow your brain down and really think about it. Okay, so that was a good question.
Mr. Durwood.
Yes, sir.
So, when we finished the other day, we were talking about question number 7, and I know I come in a little bit late this morning, but isn't that the exact same principle on what they're at?
It is. Number 7 says the number of separate conductors in a raceway is a major factor in determining. Look, it even tells you about
carrying capacity.
Yes, and look, it tells you right down here where I'm pointing here in the webcam.
Yeah.
The National Electrical Code specifies current carrying capacities of various wire sizes with different insulation, and when a specific number of conductors is installed.
Right.
A specific number. Now, you go back to that wire chart, and what does it say at the top? It says at the very top, it says that not more than 3 current carrying conductors in a raceway or cable. It says that at the very top of that chart.
Yeah.
You see up in here? Everybody right up in here? Not more than 3 wires in a raceway.
So if you got a continuing circuit though, like, you know, we run the fan motors, and it all runs through that gray PVC, you know.
Right.
So really, to pick that up, you really need to know what type of insulation you got, and also how many conductors you got, and then you drop down and use those 2 other charts that you showed us. You give us.
You do. Then you flip over. Just an example. Give me an example of how many wires you might pull in some of that in the conduit, Jamie.
Usually you got 5 fans in a house, and you've got to have, you know, you got to have 3 wires on each receptacle for that.
Now, you don't count the ground wires. You count the current carriers.
If you count the current carrier, you would have, well, you got 5 receptacles, and sometimes it depends on the house, Durwood. Sometimes, you know, you go receptacle, and they got a bigger breaker, bigger wire, and sometimes they run individual runs to each one. So typically, 1 fan is always wired up by itself as an emergency. So that'd be 4 fans. Would that be 2 conductors per? So 8 conductors.
8 current carriers, and each one would have a ground. You don't count the grounds in this.
Okay.
So if you had 8 current carriers, then let's flip over in this same packet I gave y'all. Second, be the 3rd page. and it's table 310.B3A. And it tells you the adjustment factors for more than 3, you see more than 3. The first page up there, your first wire chart is for no more than 3. This table is for more than 3. So you said eight conductors, Jamie?
Yes, sir.
What do you see here? Between 7 and 9, you have an adjustment factor of how much percent?
70%.
70%.
Yep.
So you would say 0.7 is 70%, 0.7 times the rating of whatever wire that you're picking on this chart up here. You know, for instance, if you had a number 14 and you were in the first column, it's good for 15 amps. 15 amps times 0.7, that would give you the answer if you're pulling, say, 8 wires through the conduit. You'd have to adjust it by use only 70% of the 15 amps. Yep. But a lot of people never look at this stuff, but it bites them in the rear. I mean, anybody that's worked in the plant for very long or a farm has had to pull wire out of conduit that was melted. I mean, have you ever seen any melted, Jamie, you pulled out?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, maybe more than one time?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you hear that? Oh, yeah. Okay. I've
Run
seen
into that Monday, as a matter of fact.
Huh?
We run into that Monday, as a matter of fact.
So you pulled some wire out and it was melted.
Yep, they had
It was not planned right.
I think it was 6 strands of wire in there, and it had got so hot at the receptacle that it had turned the conduit discolored, about a foot from the receptacle. And we pulled the wires out. They hadn't breached each other yet, but they were melted together. That clear coating you're talking about on that THHN, it was all melted together.
Right. That's your gasoline and oil resistant coating, your clear coat for gasoline and oil, what that is.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a thin skin on top of the regular thermoplastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you said there, Jamie, I'm gonna tell you the truth. A lot of guys don't know what you're running right now, and that's why it's so important you have this class. You take this stuff right back to where you are. And if you ever do installation of a new installation, then you need to be looking at all this stuff. Well, let's say when you pull a bundle back in the conduit after it's melted, you need to sit there and look at what we're saying and see if you go right back with what they had. Does it meet code or not?
Right.
Because you may have to actually run a bigger run of conduit, bigger pipe.
Yep.
I mean, it may be.
Well, we repaired it under the assumption that the fan plug had just went bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's possible. I don't know, because I don't actually wire the houses, but it could be possible that what we're talking about right now is the problem.
That's what I'm thinking. So if you say, well, what's the solution? Is you would need to go to a larger wire size. Let's say if you got motors and when you derate it when you adjust it at 70%, like we're saying for 8 conductors, and then you go back and say, well, it's 70% enough for those fans. If it's not, then you've got to go up on wire size because you got so many of them in the conduit. You got to go up on wire size, okay? And then you've got to also look at another thing that we've not looked at in this class, and I can show you that we cover in ELC 113. It is what's the limit of number of wires you can put in a given size of conduit. Okay, that's one that we hadn't covered in this class, but if you want to get into it, we can. And basically, what it boils down to is this, Jamie. You can fill any conduit 40% full of wire. You've got to have 60% of the conduit free of air. Right. If it's 2 foot or longer.
We're typically running these wires in 1-inch conduit.
Right. So 1-inch conduit, there's a limit. There's a limit to how many wires you can put in there. If it's PVC conduit, there's actually a rating.
Yeah.
I can show you how to go online and look at the National Electric Code for free. And I can show you where the table is. It's back in the back of the code book in table 9, chapter 9, where the tables are. And the matter of fact, I've got the do y'all have another question right now? You don't. You seriously don't? Did you have one? Jamie, let me show you something out here, man.
All right.
Let me grab my code book real quick. It's in my office. It won't take me but a second to get it. I think, yeah, they moved all that. Yeah, they moved all the copy. Let me go get my code book. I'll be right back. You just hang on. Actually, what I can do is shoot it on the board up here and then put the camera up here that everybody can see it. Let's just do that. I'm going to show you how to go online and see the code, the electric code.
Okay.
So I'm going to move my webcam and just let you see the smart board. This is something that we cover in residential.
I don't know if that information's in my uglies book or not. Because I've never looked it up.
It should be. It should be.
It probably is. I just ain't never looked for it.
Right. Yeah. When you see it, it's in chapter 9 in the code book. It's under tables. And once you see it, then you'll know that it's there now.
But you know those the little uglies books that you get that gives you the basic code book information.
Yeah, they're really good, man. They're a whole lot wider awake than a code book.
Oh yeah, I've got one of those, and I've had to go to it several times, but I've never looked up what we're talking about now. I'm not sure if it's even in
there. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be in there.
I'd be surprised if it's not.
Right. The code book is it's a lifelong thing of learning. You keep learning. Every year I have to take an 8-hour continuing ed class just to keep my electrical license. So yes, I have to keep learning. And, the code's changed. They come up with a new code book every 3 years, so they have a new code cycle every 3 years. And so they update large portions of it every 3 years. And I have to take a class from a state instructor to help me keep up with those changes. And I still can't keep up with all of it, but do what I can. So the place you go to see the code for free is you go to the www.nfpa, that's National Fire Protection Association.org. NFPA.org. And these are the folks that write the electric code book, the fire alarm code book. They write codes for everything. I'm going to show you, this is going to blow your mind how many code books that they write. So the first thing you want to do is if you don't have your profile set up in there, I'm going to go under where it says sign in. And if you're not already in the system in there, you want to say create profile right over here. You go into create profile, Jamie, and you just give them a little bit of information about yourself. This is free, and they're not going to social security number or anything. Set yourself a profile up with a username and password, and then you can access all the codes you want to anytime you want to from your phone or computer.
So if I type fish plate in there, would that get me in on yours?
Yeah. Yep. And let's see, my password. Let's see. I thought I had told them to save my password. Let me get it out. But it won't take but a second for you to see how to get to this, Jamie. It is well worth it. Everybody should really be signed in for this.
Yeah, I'll go in on my phone and do it. That way I can pull it up when I need to.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. Yeah. I got about 100 passwords in my wallet here. Hang on, I'm digging. Back to this passage. What can you get me slow down? Okay, here we go. I do. Mm-hmm.
I'm over here working on my,
You parallel.
but I need some help. I don't know if you have a chance.
Yeah, just give me a minute. If you'll hang on, let me finish this question right here, and then I'll be right with you.
All right, I'm gonna be over here.
Sure will. If you want to, you want to, can you bring your board in here? Or, yeah, if you want to, well,
It won't be too loud.
no, it won't be loud. It won't be too loud. No. Okay, now, yes, I want to save it. Okay, Jane, you still with us?
Yes, sir.
Now, so I'm in, and once you set your profile up, then it's going to take you right out to here. So then you go right over here to this codes and standards. Can you see the screen okay?
Yes, sir.
So go under codes and standards, and you go under the list of NFPA codes and standards. Now get ready to see something mind blowing here. Now look, the NFPA book number 1 is on fire code. And you go on down, you got the NFPA 10 outside fire extinguishers. You got one on mobile foam apparatus, carbon dioxide extinguishing system, halon. They write all these books. Sprinkler system, flammable combustible liquids code. You see all that, Jamie?
Yes, sir.
So you're sitting here looking at code books for everything under the sun. Everything. You go to number 70, and that's the one we're looking at. Yes, sir.
I just come from work. Can I borrow a laptop?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get your Chromebook. Yeah. Now, the NFPA 70 is the one that we're going to use. That's the National Electric Code. They got a 70A. That's for 1 and 2 family dwellings. That's a residential code book just for small houses for 1 and 2 family dwellings. They got a 70E. That's actually an electrical safety code book for safety in the workplace. So like in plants or wherever, it's a 70E to tell you about PPE, what kind of gloves you wear, what's all your PPE requirements for safety in the workplace is the 70E. Now the 70 is where we go now. And then you're going to pick a year cycle. What year are you going to look at? So the 2020 is actually out right now, but let me show you how you're going to know what code cycle that we're in North Carolina. So I'm going to open up the browser, a new browser here. Now look, you go in Google and you type in NFPA adoption map by state. And it's going to tell you for the whole United States, each state, which year code book are they legally using at this time. Okay, so we go into there. And then there's a link. It's the official NFPA link for adoption maps. You click that, and you get a color-coded map of the United States. So right now, North Carolina is in the gray, which means that we're still using the 2017 electric code.
Okay.
There are 31 states that are still using that code. And the 2020 code has only been adopted by 4 states in the purple, which would be, is that Connecticut or no, Rhode Island? I guess Rhode Island maybe. Rhode Island, South Dakota, WV, is that? I thought was that
It's Wyoming.
Wyoming and then Colorado.
Yeah.
So you have those 3, you got 4 states, the only 4 states in the US that are using the brand new 2020 code now. So how do you know? You say, well, how can that be? Listen, the electric code book is not law. It's actually not law until it's adopted by state politicians. So in Raleigh, they have to adopt the new code, and they have not adopted the new code yet. So it's under consideration. And so what does that mean? That means up in Raleigh that they are considering that code book. And here's what happened in 2017. In 2017, they looked at the 2017 version of the code book, and they put it off. It was around 2 years they pushed it out because they didn't like things in there like the new arc flash requirements, that you have to have arc fault breakers in homes. It's a new code that says you got to have an arc fault breaker in everywhere in that house except the bathroom. You got to have GFCI in there. What that meant is it caused a big expense on home builders.
Mm-hmm.
So the Home Builders Association opposed it, and they didn't want North Carolina to adopt that part of the code. So they actually came up and they did amendments to the code book. Politicians can go in there and do that and say, we will adopt the 2017 code, but not in its entirety. Certain sections of it, we're going to revert back to the 2014, which was 3 years prior. It updates every 3 years. Certain sections of the code actually revert back to 2014, and they say, then you got to download an amendment PDF from the state. Then you use the 2017 code book with a packet of amendments that revert back to older code. And that's kind of what you have to go by, is you got to go by the code book plus the amendments for North Carolina. So you got all that, Jamie?
Yes, sir.
So what it boils down to is this. When you look at the code book, you're going to look at the 2017 is what I'm saying here. So now I'm going to go back to the code book, and we don't want to look at 2020. Well, you go ahead and hit free access. Hit free access, and then you choose your year cycle. You go into here, and we're going to choose 27. You can go and choose older cycles there. For instance, I'm going to show you something funny here. Look into red there. Look into green. 2008. Now look, you got Kansas and Indiana still using the 2008 code. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's plumb ridiculous. So what does that tell you about politics? Now listen, the electric code is not law until it's made law by authority, local authority. It's not it. Just because they make it doesn't mean that state has to adopt it, which is really, I don't like that. To me, I think it should just be across, it should be government should make it to where everybody in the U.S. has to go by the same code book, but they don't. Isn't that crazy? Kansas and Indiana is still using code that's actually 12 years old. I mean, I'm telling you, man, that's crazy. You know, the 2008 is what I had to study when I actually went to get my license. When I went to get licensed to take a test, I had to study 2008 code. You got to know when you go take a test what code cycle that the state's in, and you better be in that right book when you study. So anyhow, so getting back to our thing here, we're going to choose the 2017 edition. And Jamie, we're going to get right to your question here. So you go 2017 English. They also have Spanish editions of the code, which I think is neat. You see that, Victor? They got Spanish edition of the electric code, man, that you pull up online.
Right.
Yes, sir. Depending on which one you'd rather read.
Well, English.
Right. Okay. If you have friends that are doing electric work and they're they don't speak as well. You know, you speak very well. So, I mean, but some people don't, you know, don't know it, you know what I mean? And you may, if you're working with them, you may say, well, hey, you know, we can see it in there, not in Spanish, you know. So I just hit the wrong one. 2014. Let's go. It's 2017 is what we're in now and then hit view. And then you got to hit an agree here, an agreement to read it, that you're not going to copy. So there's the code book right there. Now, so what you want to do next is look at the table of contents, and it pops up over here. So this is really neat right here. If you go back all the way to the back of the code book where the tables are, well, for one thing, the wire chart that we've been looking at is 310. It's in section 310. Let me show you that real quick, Jamie. So if you go in chapter 3, 310 is conductors for general wiring. If you go to there, can you see that from where you are?
Yes.
If you hit 310 and then scroll on through, if you hit next, it's going to flip the pages. It looks just like a book flipping. See that?
Right.
So you flip on through, and there's the chart that I just gave y'all right there. This is the actual wire chart. So that's how easy you can get to it on your phone or a computer for free. The code book will cost you, you know, $80, $85, $90 to buy it, but you can see it free on the internet.
You can get some tools out for the
Some tools. Okay. Hold on, Jamie. We flip. If you go all the way to the end of it, all the way to the end where it says tables. Tables. Annex C in you see chapter 9, Jamie?
Yep.
And Annex C, conduit tubing field tables for conductors. Now we click to there, and then we go to here. Now what kind of conduits? You're going to be PVC. So for PVC, is it schedule 80 or 40?
Let's see, the 40 sticker wall, right?
Right, it's gray.
Yeah, that is the gray.
So look, so PVC rigid schedule 80, and it's going to be right there. And you go, what happened? Let's go back. Something went wrong there. It's Annex C. Let's go back. Annex C is where we're supposed to be. And it's going to be on page, let's see, PVC, page 765 or 767. 767. You got to be specific on the kind of conduit, and then it's going to tell you how many wires you can pull in the conduit, Jamie. It's going to tell you right up front. I think did I just skip something? That's rigid. Let's go back. LNC. I think I must be off on what page I remembered. Let's go back. LNC. Does anybody remember what page it said that was? I think I'm off on this.
It was 765.
765, really? I'm gonna quit rambling. We're gonna answer this question, and then Benjamin, I'm gonna help you, okay? Let's go back. So this is for rigid metal RMC, so that's not it. It's gonna be PVC schedule 80. RMC. Here we go. Look. Rigid PVC conduit. You see that, Jamie? Schedule 80?
Yep.
Can you read it?
No, not really.
Hold on. How about now?
Yeah, I can get it now. So 1 inch is what? 14
Look,
side wire, 10.
You see the 1 inch up there I'm pointing at?
Size 12 is what, 7?
So
7,
seven wires if you're using number 12.
right.
Y'all
That's
look up here.
Yeah, they
Look,
pull.
for PVC conduit, this is the gray plastic conduit. You can buy it like at Lowe's. This is for hard house, for wet location, like your waste treatment Victor. In the code book, you go to Annex C tables, and then you look at a specific type of conduit. Read your PVC conduit, Schedule 80, and look. And look, you got to also know what kind of wiring, Jamie. See, it's THHN wire.
Yes.
This is not what you have. We got to find the right kind of wire, and then we go down that column right there. So let's go to another table. So THHW, we got to go to the next page. THHN, you see that, Jamie?
Yes, sir.
Right over there. You got to, because listen, the insulation makes it either fatter or skinnier, which changes how many you can put in the conduit. So for THHN, you come across, and it's what size wire? 12?
Yeah, you use it typically 12 or 10, just depends on what they run.
Okay, so look, you can put 20
Good gracious.
20 wires in a 1-inch PVC conduit, 20 wires in there, if it's a number 12 and if it's THHN insulation. You see
Okay.
that?
Yeah.
You read that pretty good?
Yes, sir.
So you make a note that this is Annex C in the code book, Annex C. And it tells you up front, but they all have to be the same size wire. And when they're different, I'll show you that on a different session, because that takes more time. You got to itemize every wire. If you got a mixture of 14s, 10s, and 12s,
Yes.
you do a calculation per wire on the area, on the surface area of the wires. And it boils down to you can't use any more than 40% fill in the conduit if it's over 2 feet long. If it's less than 2 feet long, if it's a 24-inch or less, you can do 60% fill in conduit. If it's a 2-foot nipple or less, but beyond 2 feet, 40% fill. All right, you got that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty simple there.
Yeah, they've already got it figured out for you unless you have a mixture. If you do a mixture of different kinds of wires, I can show you how to itemize and do it separately, but then you figure individual, and it tells you in the code book what the area is for every wire individual. You make a list, and you got to stay within 40% of the available fill in the conduit. There's a chart that tells you the available area on another page, so I can get into all that stuff. So I can help you get licensed, basically. So,
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're going to be talking about that a little later.
right, but you got. There's a lot of prepared to do. I can just tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
It can be done, and I've been there and done it, so I can help you get there. So, yeah, I'll be right back. So you need a screwdriver. Okay, sorry about the delay. So you need a little guidance on the hooking it up. Did you have a question on how to hook it up?
I had to get the sheet, I think, fine. That's
The land sheet?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm running the sale today, ain't for $20, man. Yep. Jamie, you still there?
Yes, sir.
Do you want me to leave it up there? Or you want to watch us? You want to see some entertainment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Or do you want it up there? Or you want to see us?
Oh, it don't matter. However you want to do it. Hey, I did want to tell you something that I noticed the other day.
Huh?
I did want to tell you something I noticed the other day that I had never paid attention to. So I use my Uglies book quite a bit, you know.
Right.
What's on the front of an Uglies book? You remember?
I have to look. Is it an Ohm's law chart?
It is the exact same chart you gave us that's on your card. And
Right.
you know how many times I've seen that and never paid no attention that it was actually something.
Right.
Until I took this class, and then, I mean, it's right there to use, you know, if you need it.
It is right there to use. See there? This class, man, is invaluable. I'm telling you.
Oh, it is.
It's going to unfold for the rest of your life. It's going to be unfolding for you, Jamie. Look, you're going to say down the road, man, I'm so glad I got that tonight. You can't afford not to have it. It's like building a house and you didn't lay, you left out some blocks in the foundation. After a while, it's going to start shaking.
Oh, yeah.
If it ain't because you really ain't got it solid, you're gonna say, well, man, am I missing something over this house? Yeah, you missed something. And what it'll do is it'll end up you having to call somebody else because there was stuff in this class that you didn't get if you didn't take it. I had a guy one time that he was pretty upset with me. I wouldn't let him skip this class. He said, you know, I've had motor controls. I took the PLC class. Why have I got to take this class? I said, because there's stuff in this class that you don't get in motor controls. He said, well, ain't motor controls more advanced than this? I said, no, it ain't. You don't get the Ohm's law. You don't get the calculations. You don't get any of this stuff in those other classes. You get it in here.
I had a way easier time with the motors control class than I did this one, to be honest with
I
you.
know. That's why some people think. I had one guy that was really up. He was mad because I wouldn't let him do. He wanted me to give him a test, the test out of it, and so I laid something in front of him. And I said, "Can you calculate this?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, you wouldn't pass that test no way."
Yeah.
I said, "You wouldn't pass it." He hushed right then. He didn't. Yeah, but
There's a lot of stuff in motor controls that builds on what you're learning in this class.
I know it does. That's why you need this class first.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the school doesn't. They don't enforce prerequisites anymore, like they did when I was coming. So you can get it in any order, and it's okay with me as long as you do get it all. As long as you get it all, it's okay, you know. I'm all for somebody being able to start in the summer if they want to, start in spring if they want to. Yeah. So it's okay.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
On the Chapter 8, question 16.
Okay, we're in chapter 8 now. Jamie, number 15.
Yep.
16. 16. Okay, this is if a 1 foot piece of copper wire at 167 degrees Fahrenheit has a resistance of 0.00777 ohms, using figure 8.4, calculate the gauge of the wire.
Hey, Darwin.
Hey.
That press ain't working. Is there a trick to it?
Yeah, the release valve, you've got to screw it out to get it to lock in. Out is what makes it lock in.
Oh, okay.
And then look, then you go in to relieve it. It's backwards. It's a backwards valve, yeah. That press out there is backwards as far as the relief valve. Hold on one second. So now look, we go to chapter 8. You go to table to figure 8-4. Figure 8.4 on page 69. And I can let's pull it up here. I got to get that PowerPoint out. Let me grab it real quick. Okay, go back to Zoom and share screen. Chapter 8. Okay, Jamie, did you see the chapter 8 PowerPoint?
Yes, sir.
You do?
Yeah.
So we're going to go to that table now. You see the table?
Yes, sir. I got my book open to it.
Now, so the question is, it says that you have, a 1 foot piece of copper wire, 167 degrees Fahrenheit, which is also 75 degrees Celsius. Okay. 75 degrees C is what it says in the book, but that equals 167 Fahrenheit. Has a resistance of 0.00777 ohms for 1 foot. Now the table, the column on the right says it gives resistance for how many feet?
1,000 foot.
For 1,000 foot. So you got to figure out from your question here, that's 1 foot. So what would 1,000 foot of that be in resistance? So you take that resistance in number 16 and calculate it for 1,000 feet, then go back to that table and see where does it match. You're going to look in the right column for resistance. Once you multiply number 16, that resistance to 1,000 feet.
7.77.
Right. It will be exactly.
So it's the 18 gauge.
It is.
Okay.
Right. I mean, is that clear to everybody? It is. Once you look at it in terms of 1 foot versus 1,000 feet, the code book gives you, right in that code book, it gives you the resistance per 1,000 feet of the wire. I mean, I can actually show you on the code book where it tells that right out of the code book. If you want to see that. If you go, do you have another question right now or not? So, okay, now look here. We're going to shoot back the code book. Let's cut off you see the screen pretty good there?
Yeah.
All right, now I'll show you where all that stuff comes from. We go back to the table of contents. And we got to look up. It's not in Annex C. It's in
You have a heat gun? Right?
heat gun.
Yeah. So we can test the heat and up there.
Yeah, there's a heat gun in that cabinet of it. Look in the bottom of that locker of it. If you look in it, in the floor. No, look at that black locker. Look at the bottom of the heat cabinet. Is it in here or not? Okay, if it's not, hold on, I may have it in here. John, I got it. There's actually two. I've got one with my name here. Hey, John, I got it. Heat gun for checking bearing temperature. Hey, John, here it is. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, I'm back now. So it's not in there. It's not in there. Table 8. Does anybody have a question right now?
I do,
You do? Okay.
yeah, I'll bring it to you.
Okay.
Okay, the question is to figure out R2, if I know the total current circuit is 7.5, the first resistance is 10.
So which problem are we on here?
Um,
We're switching gears right now.
16.
There's a table back in there, Jamie, that gives that resistance. It's not a big deal right now. We got to switch something else here now.
Okay.
So what is it? Number chapter 4.
Yeah, chapter 4, number
Chapter
16.
4. That's chapter 4. So which one is it?
Number 16.
Number 16.
Mhm. You're given the total resistance of 7.5,
Total resistance 7.5 ohms.
and then the first resistor is 10, and then you have to find resistor 2.
Right. So let's draw it.
Okay.
Let's draw it. Let's put it up here and draw it.
All right.
Check my power here. 1 hour and 3 minutes. I think we're okay for that now. So the circuit, if we draw the circuit out, we're on number 16, Jamie, on worksheet 4.
Yep.
So you have 75 volts. $75 volts, and we have 10 ohms. And R2, we don't know what it is. It's so many ohms. And it says that the total resistance is 7.5. So our total is 7.5 ohms.
Okay. So I was thinking typical formula. So that way I would
You don't even have to go that far with it. You're actually making it harder than it needs to be.
go. Okay.
Let's think simpler than that.
Okay. So 75 volts.
Now look, let's just go back to this right here. Let's look at the most simplest thing to look at.
Okay.
We know what R total is, and we know what E total is.
So I just want I total.
You can get I total, and then you can kind of go from there because you've got the voltage drop across it. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. So when you have E total, you got R total. You can do I total here. When you get that, you can calculate I1 by using 75 volt in this and get that current. And then the difference between that current and I total is going to give you this current. That current, I2, used with this voltage can give you that R. You see it?
Okay.
Yeah.
I see it now.
Yep. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. Yep. You got that, Jamie?
Yes, sir.
Now, I don't know. You may have already done this one. I don't know.
No, I hadn't done any of them yet. I'm gonna try to get them today.
Right, so this will help you what we're going over. I said in the beginning, we're going to Zoom the whole thing, whatever we're doing, because it's going to help. It's likely to help whoever's watching. So, yep, very likely. Yep. Anybody have any questions at this point? Okay. Which one do you have? We're going to focus on questions, Jamie.
Okay.
That's good. That's not important right now. So, which one you have, Victor? Okay. Okay. Let's say on what's happening on campus. Off the top about that whole department got quarantined for a week. Early college got quarantined. Another class, I don't know what the name of it is, another class got quarantined too. You got to be careful. Still on. Which one is it? And I'm going to get my stuff out. So you want this to convert this to still water. Yeah, it's sitting there, the heat, you move it on to 3 plates. Just move the decimal over. The decimal probably is like 550. Move it over 3 plates. The next time I think about 5,000. That converts into so that's what that one is still 1 hour. Not the kilowatt, that's still 1 hour. What you pay for is your electric plant. That little meter behind the house, this thing, yeah, that one you can't kilowatt per hour. So that's the energy, not just it's not power, it's energy, 16 watts per hour. Or kilowatt per hour.
We have to do like calculations and
This could be multiple source food. You got to do calculations to even figure out what you didn't have to say. They told me it has to be self-rated. Because I won't be here when I was doing it, so it has to be rated. We're not going to put nobody in charge of grading my stuff or anything like that. Whether it's not in grade, find where that little thing is. That's all. They're going to cost me and go on. Somebody will. They'll be here for you. You might have trouble with one of those. Somebody will be here. I got to find out. I can help you with any of them, and you don't matter what chapter it is, you just tell me which one, and I got all my stuff out here ready. Jamie, do you have any questions on any of them? Do you need help on?
Not that I know of, but like I said, I ain't tried to do it yet. I'm gonna try to get it done this afternoon and get it turned in to you.
Okay. Victor was asking about how do you get kilowatts out of watts, and you take the watts divided by 1,000. You just move the decimal over 3 places to the left if it's in watts, and it makes it into kilowatts.
All right, so it's in watt, about 1,000. Move the decimal.
Yeah. In other words, if you had 500 watts, what would that be in kilowatts?
You said move it to the right 3 places.
No, to the left.
To the left. About 500. 0.5.
Yeah. 0.5 kilowatts equals 500 watts, because look, it takes 1,000 watts to make a kilowatt, right?
Okay.
So if 1,000 watts is a kilowatt, 1 kilowatt,
right.
Then 500 watts would be a half a kilowatt, right? Which would be 0.5 kilowatts.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I got you.
It's pretty simple once when you look at it that way.
Yeah.
As far as worksheet number 6, it's dealing with that. There's several people. McGill was working on his. He's not done, but he's in progress with it. And then Benjamin, you need to do yours on chapter 6. And Louise, you're working on yours. On chapter 7, and I sent messages out as far as who. I've already sent text messages out to everybody on specifically which worksheets. But there's quite a few worksheets that haven't been done, and it's kind of scattered on who hadn't done what. So I can help you now, or if it's some odd time, outside of class, you can call me and I'll try to help you. So, but the semester's gonna be gone before you know it. So y'all call me, even if it's a crazy hour. Call me anyway. So we just got to get it all done somehow. Yeah, we'll make it happen. I'm willing if somebody else is. Yep.
When I was standing up there, I knew where I had to go. And I came and sat down and everything went up.
It's okay. That's fine. So let's come back up and look at it again. Let's actually. Why don't we just solve it?
Okay.
Maybe okay. So you would start out with the information that you have, and how did you get I total? What did you get for I total?
10.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? E over R.
I total is 10 amps.
Mm-hmm.
So look, let's put a number in place up here. You got 10 amps that's flowing from the battery this way, right?
Yes.
You got a junction point that's going to split.
Yes.
Okay, if it's going to split, we can calculate the current flow through this one by doing what? we have the voltage and we have the resistance of this one.
Yes.
And so what would the current be through this one? How do you calculate that? You just go back and look at your triangle. You got EIR.
Okay, so
And you're looking for the current through here. It will be I. So if you cover it up, it's going to be what?
still E over R.
Yeah, E over R. And the E has to be what? This, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
So I1, this is I1 and I2, current 1, current 2. So I1 is going to equal, you said E over R, right?
Mhm.
And the E would be the 75 and the R would be the 10.
Someone?
7.5 amps.
That's R1. Correct.
Yeah, that's I1.
Okay.
And so let's put a number in here. Let's say 7.5 amps is actually flowing in this leg.
Yes.
So just use deduction and say if 7.5 is flowing through this leg, and if I got a total of 10, then what's the remainder for this one? That's the easiest way to do it.
Was it 2.5 or 2.5?
Hmm?
2.5, right?
2.5.
Yeah. It's
Oh yeah, the remainder, yeah, absolutely, yes, the remainder would be that, yes. So
yes,
so the current through here would be 2.5 amps, and it has to be. It has to be. That makes sense, Jamie?
Yes, sir.
It's just like money. If I got $10 and I spend 7.5, how much have I got left? I got $2.50, right? It's the same way with current flow. It has to be that 10 is gonna split at that junction, and it's gonna still be a total of 10 when you add it up. You know, it still has to be. Yeah. That wasn't the only way to figure it out, but it was probably the easiest way.
yes. So it's 10.75 volts
Mm.
divided by 2.5 amps.
You good with that one, Jamie?
So, no, go back, explain that one more time. 'Cause I think I missed something on that. I come up with 10 ohms.
You come up with 10 what?
I come up with 10 ohms.
10 ohms.
Well, yeah, this is 10 ohms. This
Right.
is 10 ohms. The question is asking for, oh yeah, we didn't get the resistance. We didn't get the resistance there. We want to know what R2 was.
Right.
So if you got the current flow, look, the current flow, we didn't finish the problem. So, so 2.5 amps, and you got 75 volts, right? So I2 it's going to be E over R, right? It's going to be 75 over the 2.5 amps. Does that seem right to y'all? We know the voltage is going to be 75 volts across both of them because it's what kind of circuit?
Parallel.
Parallel. So we know it's 75 volts, and then we deduced and said that we had 2.5 amps flowing through there because you got 7.5 here, and what's left over is this. So that current and then the main voltage can be used to give you R2, the resistance of R2. I'm sorry. It's gonna we're looking for the resistance of what the question is.
So I came up with 30 ohms.
Right. Yeah, the question is actually asking for the resistance of R2 is the end result. Is what we're looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've been bouncing around so much and my brain is like, you know, I gotta get a grip on it and get it calmed down here.
Be easy.
I need a fish plate.
That's what I know.
I'm not kidding you. It would be better than a medicine. The fish oil is a medicine. And then the taste is, you know,
So it's 30 ohms then.
Yes.
right.
All right, got it.
You know, you got to use the information you're given up front to kind of know to get to the next thing. It's stepping stones.
Yeah, I got the total amps, but then I forgot to split it up between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. D, I'm gonna be calling you at some point tonight,
That's
because I
fine.
know we need more help, but I gotta go because I promised to donate one today.
Right. I got a class I'm teaching from 6 to 9. So after 9, then I can help.
Okay,
I'm teaching residential wiring 3 hours a night.
okay,
And once I pack up, then I've got to have time to get stuff packed up and get in my truck. So at that point, then I
maybe
can
10 o'clock,
get
maybe 10 o'clock would be better for you?
10. 10 away.
Okay, all right. And what about Friday morning?
Friday morning's fine, but what time are you talking about? I'm teaching Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. with volleyball. So it has to be after 4 o'clock.
Okay, can I do it earlier than that? Because I can kick my husband out of the house tomorrow, so I can have peace and quiet.
Before 9 won't work. I have to be in here getting ready for volleyball. It has to be like tomorrow night. It has to be at 4 o'clock when we get out of here. Then I'm going to be driving.
Okay.
So it would have to be tomorrow night, so after 8.
Okay, all right.
8 o'clock.
It had to be 11 a.m. It had to have to be 11 because I gotta go back to work tomorrow.
11 o'clock tomorrow night's fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Yep. 'Cause right now I'm teaching 5 days a week. I'm doing 3 days of volleyball. From 9 to 4.
That was them yesterday, right?
He's right there right now. John's teaching them on Tuesday, Thursday when I was out, but I got them again tomorrow. Yeah.
And they all work in maintenance at Buttermilk?
They all do again. They got 235 maintenance guys over there. People. 3,000 workers. What you got, Vic? Okay, just name one. If you can name one, and I'll help you through every one of them, man. Seriously, we'll get done, man. We can do it. We can do it.
Do you have any plans for Saturday?
Haul trash.
Okay.
Do a Walmart run. If you send me a text at what time, just say, if I know roughly what time I can plan to help you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can help you on Saturday, yeah.
Right.
But I'll need to kind of, like if you text me and I'm hauling trash or doing some, like a Walmart run,
Uh-huh.
I'll text you right back and say, well, I can help you in an hour when I get home.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I can't guarantee you what time unless you tell me up front what time. If you tell me up front, now I can work around
That
that.
would depend on how nicely things go Friday night at work.
Right.
Because right now they haven't been running very well, so we can talk about 6:37 o'clock.
Well, I guarantee you, I'll make some time Saturday if you just shoot me a text and say, when can you help me from here on out the rest of the evening? When can you help me?
Okay.
You know, or give me a block of time. Give me a block of time to work with, say from 6 to 9 or whatever, and say, can you help me in that time range? And then I'll tell you when.
Let's see, I plan on trying to get up there. Got 6, maybe even go 4 hours of sleep. Got maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock, and Saturday morning. Is that too early?
10:30 or 11, but that's fine.
Okay. All right. So I'll set my alarm to make sure I'm up by then.
That's fine. That'll be fine.
Thank you.
Just shoot me a text, you know,
Mhm.
and yeah, I'll be glad to help you. And I'll have my computer home and I can get that, but be glad to.
All right, thank you, Mr.
And I've even done Zoom like that before, individuals. I've done that before. It don't take 5 seconds to set up a Zoom if you need to see something pointed at.
Okay. All right, cool.
I've done it many times. It's
All right.
free. It doesn't cost nothing to do it. It's about a 5-minute setup, and we've got a video just like we're doing right now with him.
Okay.
Anytime.
All right, cool. I'll
Anytime.
definitely use that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, that Zoom, man, I've done it. I've done it with individuals. I've done it with Murphy Family Venture. I've done it with them guys one-on-one. And it's a winner. It really is. How can I help y'all now? What do you need help with, Vic?
I'm lost.
Which one?
Chapter 6.
Chapter 6,
What time do you gotta leave this, Joey?
what time I gotta leave?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got some breathing room. I got some time in here now.
I
I
was
mean,
thinking about staying till 2:30, that's fine.
that's fine. It is. It is. That'll work.
Sounds good.
Yeah. My next class starts at 6. I just need to, at some point, need to go get a bite to eat.
Yeah.
At some point, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to go to the sheriff.
Hmm?
I need to go to the sheriff.
Need to go where?
Sheriff. Sheriff. Sheriff.
I can't hear you.
He said he needs to go to the sheriff.
To the what?
Sheriff.
Sheriff. The sheriff's department, for real? For what? Get your gun permit.
Dude, I went to, I've already done my concealed, but they took it on and gave me back.
Okay, so which problem are you on right now, Vic? Huh?
I got the formula.
So it's worksheet 6 that you're on right now?
Yeah.
Get my stuff. I'll switch over here. Okay, and which one? Number 3. Let's do it on the board. If you don't draw a picture of this thing, it's going to be like a foreign language to you. So come on up and look, or if you can see from there, you know, I don't know if you can see from there. So we have an elevator, and so this is like what the guys they do at Schindler. The engineers, they have to figure stuff like this. So you got an elevator car. And it's 2,000 pounds. It could be 2,000 pounds if it had full capacity of people in it, fully loaded.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got some cable here. We're going up. We've got us a winch. Got us a motor up here.
Should have referred to the bug.
That's actually my doctor. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me call him right back. Just hello? 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 Yes, ma'am. Sorry, this probably broke in. A telephone call in the morning at 8:30. So. See, it's in regard to blood pressure. Right, okay, so did my pre-op passing off for recently? Okay, that's good. So 8:30, you're gonna do a phone visit. I got Duo, yeah, she did Duo last time. Okay, did she do any earlier than that? Because I got a class starting now. That'll be fine. Okay, all right, okay. So I'll check my blood pressure at home, and I'll just tell them what it is. All right, thanks. Bye-bye. That's my doctor. They're gonna do a phone visit in the morning with me. They're wanting me to check my blood pressure. These doctor calls I have to stay on top of because I've got a major surgery coming up, and I don't want to miss any questions or anything. But got that down to be ready. I got blood on at 9, so I've got to be ready for a doctor phone visit. $8:30. About an hour. Blood pressure. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So if you want to do the problem, I can just tell you what to do. So you have an escalator. Yeah, okay, you're on the way with, I see that, yeah. Okay, so you have you're starting out with you got to go 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet in 4 minutes. 1,000 feet, 4 minutes. Okay. So the foot pounds, right. So the first thing you have to do is you have to get, if you look at your formulas in there, you got to get your foot pounds first. So how do you calculate foot pounds?
Work done, not per minute.
It's just the distance times the weight. So go ahead and do that.
Times distance.
Yes, the force times the distance. Yes.
So the distance is 1,000 foot.
Mm-hmm.
The force is.
Yeah. Now what yeah. Yeah, when you multiply that, yeah, that's what you've got up there. You got the 2,000 times the 1,000. You just haven't done the total yet. And then exactly. So yeah, you're fine. You're fine right there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you got it. And then when you did the right, you're fine there. So you come up with 500,000 what? It's foot-pounds per minute. Yeah. So it's foot-pounds per minute. That's the unit that you're using. Right, so you took the 1,000 feet times the 2,000 pounds. That would give you foot-pounds, and then divided by 4 minutes, it gives you the time. So the result of that with foot-pounds divided by time equals foot-pounds per minute, which would be 500,000. So 500,000 foot-pounds per minute. Then you're going to convert that to horsepower. And you put your factor already up there. So you have the 33, 1 horsepower equals 33,000 foot-pounds per minute. So if that equals one horsepower, then you take the 500,000 that you had divided by 33,000. But yeah, don't round it. What was the exact number? Yeah. And when you go buy a motor, it's gonna have to be, you'd have to drop back like that. You would.
$15.15.
Right.
Or 15.
But yeah, exactly.
Can you buy a motor 15?
No, you'd have to, when you buy one, you're gonna buy that right there. Yeah. Another one?
Well, I got it right on that.
Okay, yeah. You just go. Hold on. Anything else? Okay. It's gonna be later on though. It'll be late in the afternoon. Yeah. Probably around 5 or so. How you doing today? Good. Okay, I have to after a while. How about a drink? You got a drink or not? Okay, I'll do it. Okay. Bye-bye. My mother's out there at rehab in Southwood, where she had the colon surgery. Yeah. She's trying to get strong enough to walk. Yeah. You know, they're working with her on that. Little by little, she's making the comeback. It just takes a long time. They cut out 11 inches of colon, man. That's pretty hard. You know. It makes more sense when you draw it, don't it?
Yeah, I did the whole thing. I said, yeah, I figured out the whole thing. I just did, I thought you can't get a 15.15 or
That's what engineers do. That's how they figure that stuff out. This is engineering level type calculation. Could you imagine having a press with a set of press dies and nobody counting this as guessing the motor size? That could be embarrassing.
Yeah.
So they look at the weight that they're using. If it's whatever it might be, a dumper, a set dumper. Mm-hmm.
Here it is. So I gotta use this formula. 1 equals 1,000. That's too much.
How's Benjamin Franklin doing back here?
Pretty good. Right now, just connecting my two grounds.
Mhm.
Then I'm gonna get this wire here. Fix at least.
There you go. That's what's happening.
I gotta get 15.
That's what's going on.
Get some on that right.
The detail lets you get a current reading on each pole, instead of an amp reading. If it wasn't an amp, you could actually just go in there and date the chain off the these. And not have the these, but you gotta have what you just said. So you put the current meter around each leg, each pole separately. That makes sense. If you go in here, put right one right here, it would work fine, it would be parallel. So you would be able to measure current just that one pole.
So that's what I'm gonna do.
That's why you got to do that. That's what you got to do, get an actual amp reading for each pole separately. Well, this wouldn't let you do it. I mean, just in wiring, just in wiring lines, that's the way you do it. You just put the measurements that we're doing here.
Well, it's 10-watt lamps.
So if you're on number 4,
It'd be 100-watt.
look, you have 10 bulbs that are 100 watts apiece.
Connected, so they wanted to find out the cost. So you do, it's 100 watt and all together, right?
Now, what's the wattage of one of them? Each bulb is 100 watts apiece, but you have 10 bulbs. You know what it says?
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be 10 times 100.
Yeah, I've written it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
1,000.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And put a W beside that for watts. Yeah.
Average use is,
And I put the 11 hours down there.
per dollar.
But you put 10 cents in a dollar thing, it's going to be 0.10.
Oh, yeah.
For 10 cents. 0.10. That's in dollars. Yeah. There you go. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. You can do this stuff fine. You just got to have some time to sit down and do it. You got to just put the brakes on to do it. You're busy man out there at the plant, but somehow you got to have some way to stop and do this, because it's worth doing. And the answer is going to be in dollars. Okay, and you add another 0 to it, so it's $1.10. That's the dollar amount. $1.10. So if you had 10 bulbs that are 100 watts apiece and you burn them per hour, it would cost you $1.10 per hour. And the reason is because look, it's 10 cents. It would cost you 10 cents to burn those bulbs for 1 hour. For 1,000 watts. If you had 10 light bulbs and they're 1,000 watts, they're 100 watt apiece, 10 bulbs. And you burned in 10 bulbs for 1 hour, it cost you 10 cents. Because A kilowatt hour costs you 10 cents.
Yeah.
So if you run them 11 hours, it's $1.10. That's what you're paying Duke Energy for on the light bill to burn them 10 bulbs. Your light bill at the plant's going to be an unreal amount.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's going to be astronomical. I better plug this thing in here.
Jamie still on?
Hmm.
Jamie still on?
He is. Jamie, you still there?
Yes, sir.
He's still there. He sure is.
Yeah, my computer's fixing to die though.
This is chapter 6, Jamie. I don't know if you done it.
Yeah.
You done it already?
Yeah, I already done that.
We got to get some go juice here.
Durwood.
Yeah.
My computer's fitting to die. I ain't got no way of plugging it up right here.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut it off. We're done. We're done. We're past class time anyway.
Yeah, I want to ask you something. So, the boy I was working with yesterday and today, his wife called and said she has tested positive. So, they sent him home to be quarantined. And they pretty much have done the same thing to me. So, I don't want to get in trouble by missing the night, but I also don't want to go either. You know,
No, you don't need to because you were working with that guy.
yeah, he don't have any symptoms, and I don't have any symptoms, and we're just trying to be on the safe side. That's why I was able to come in and be on the class today.
That's fine. That'll work. Just well, do like you said. The best thing you can do probably would be to get tested.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I would do.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it's like a 72-hour incubation period, which my wife, she gets tested every week because she's a nurse. So.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like I said, his wife tested positive, but he hadn't. So we don't know. We're just trying to avoid any contact if at all possible for now. So
Yeah, that's the best thing to do. And just stay up with your worksheets in the other class. It's the main thing. You know, you're in good shape as far as labs. You know.
I got a couple I need to work on. I'm gonna get finished. I just didn't want to have to miss tonight, but and they gave me the option of staying at work and working because our doctor, they talked to our doctor or whatever. But I told them I would just go ahead and take a vacation day, and that way by Sunday, if I ain't had any symptoms at all, which we'll know everything's okay. So.
Yeah, that's smart. That's good. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. Yeah, sure do.
All right, if I run any hang-ups, though, I'll call you, Mr. Durwood.
Okay, we've had just on this campus, cosmetology got quarantined for a while. Early college got quarantined for a while. Another class we've had 3 different groups out here to get quarantined from this school. So
well, me and the boy I was working with, we weren't in the same vehicle. We weren't even working on the same equipment. But we did interact somewhat a couple times a day, you know, me bringing him some parts and him bringing me some parts or whatever. So
yeah,
chances are slim to none, you know, but still. Yes.
Yep. And what I can do, man, seriously, I could actually do Zoom tonight and just open it up and let you just kind of get in if you wanted to.
Right.
Do you have any worksheet stuff you got questions on in the other class? Do you know that?
No, I've only got one worksheet that I got to look it up. That's gonna be the one on the wiring diagrams for wiring houses, correct?
As far as a worksheet, yeah, it's on reading the blueprints. Yeah.
I should honestly, Durwood, I should be fine with that.
Right. Okay.
I'm gonna try to do the worksheet.
Yep. It's real straightforward. If you got any questions, you can just call me, and I can help you on the phone.
I'm pretty familiar with them anyway.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, but I'm just phone call away most of the time. And if I ain't right then, it won't be long before it will be. You know.
Right.
I helped
All right,
Victor.
thank you, Mr.
My
Durwood.
truck last night. I was at Arby's last night eating a salad in the parking lot, and Victor called me. It's you know,
Well, whatever you
I've
do,
always
make,
I've been in a mode like that, man, since 1988 with this whatever time it is okay, and I've been like that, and it's okay. I think you're better off being that way.
you got to keep in mind. You got to keep in mind too now that Victor's keeping us supplied in bacon. So whatever he needs, we need to work with it.
Exactly, because I do loves my bacon.
Exactly.
My
All right,
my
well,
third pound hearty burger is so good with that bacon. That bacon cheese. It's good. Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. Well, you
All right, thank you,
have
Mr.
a
Durwood.
safe one, man.
You too.
I'm gonna go ahead and end the session.
All right.
I'm gonna head out right now.
Go ahead now.
Con ustedes ya. Te doy el libro al rato.